She's
Our
like,
quorum is here, so we will
Yes.
call to order the Monday, September 17th meeting of the Albany Arts Committee.
honey cake.
There is honey cake, and,
Oh, yes.
and our
First
first
agenda
order of
item.
business is the approval of the minutes from the last meeting, which I was not at, so if somebody who was there wants to make a motion.
I'd make a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
I second it.
In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Public comment, if anybody wants to address the committee on an item that's not on the agenda? Anybody? Great. Announcements from the staff to start.
Oh, you guys are just going right at it. Okay, so let's see. Just a few announcements. September is our busy, awesome month. So there's a lot going on. You've heard of this little event we have called Dinner with Albany. And I just wanted to thank our chair, Jen Daly, and also Jenny and Cheryl here for being our fearless table decoration judges. So that should be fun. We're gonna have all the props and everything for you and voting cards. Cheryl knows the routine.
There's a routine.
There is a routine.
Eh,
I
little
part
one.
of the
Always
judges
a
row.
routine.
Little
Can
one.
I wear my judges row?
Yes, please. Please do. And if you have a staff, that would be also encouraged. Albany Local Week, just want to remind everyone, it's September 21st through the 29th this year. And it kicks off next Friday. We have Food Truck Friday. We have also a Bike About Town on that same day. That's going to end at Food Truck Friday. It's going to be right out here. And it has a silent disco we're adding this year. So you can put on your headphones and dance the night away, and nobody knows what you're listening to. You'll always be on beat. Let's see, we did one for parking day. We took over parking spaces, and it was just a hoot and a half. So come at least watch for that, for watching that. We also have a park cleanup that weekend. We have a movie night, which is hosted by As You Wish Frozen Yogurt. And we go to a senior center open house on Wednesday, vote the Best of Albany Awards on Thursday, of course, our music in the park. And then it concludes with Dinner with Albany, and where we will crown our Uber Albany, Mr. and Mrs. Uber Albany, who has the most points for the week, because you get points however many events you do. So, music in the park, I brought some postcards. This week we have the Yacht Rock Explosion, and that is,
Michael McDonald.
oh, I almost have it. It's Mustache Harbor. Mustache Harbor is the name of it. So they're a cover band, so that will be great. And then the last one will be the Uptones, which is a Bay Area band, ska, lots of trumpets. Should be fun. Lots of good dance and music. Wanted to encourage you guys, the deadline for voting for the Best of Albany, you go to everythingalbany.com, and the deadline is the 19th. So coming up this week, and voted or on nominated was the best gallery space is right here at the community center. So please do go on and vote, if not just for that one, but I think there's 35 different categories, something like that. So. And then I just put the invitation to the advisory board members appreciation evening that's coming up next month as well. So please RSVP by October 1st to Ann Sue, and that was in the invitation that I sent out, but that's also coming up. We hope you can all join us. And I think that is all I have. So, I also did want to mention, sorry, just you notice I mentioned this in the email, the new format of the agenda. It doesn't look too different from ours. A lot of committee members or committees and commissions looked much different, so their agendas look different. Ours looks pretty much the same. You'll notice there's a lot more jargon at the end, legal jargon. And then the other effort is to go green, so to bring a tablet or something where we're not printing out the agendas, and that's kind of across the city, so we all are appreciative of that. So that is it.
Are there any announcements from committee members? Nope. Okay. Yeah. They're on there. Okay. There are no presentations. I'd like to entertain a motion to change the order of item number 6 to put 6-2 community projects would move to 6-1, since those folks are here. And 6-1 would move to the end in case those people show up, so it would move to 6-7.
So moved.
Second?
Second. Second.
Favor?
Aye.
All? Okay. So that will mean that 6.2, which is now 6.1, is community projects, and we will review and discuss the proposal from our guests. Would you like to say anything about the proposal at this time?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. I think they want you to speak there so you're recorded, is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
Speak there.
Step up to the mic.
But, so I have some props.
Okay. Oh, cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Should we do the video, you think, or should we?
I'm gonna leave it entirely up to you, however you would like to.
Buenas noches, good night. I do have a couple of comments on our project because there's a new development. Also, one great thing that happened is that we finished the first time we implemented this project, which was in Richmond. So in the back of you, there's a video. I would really leave it up to you. It's how many minutes? 2 minutes and 59? Yeah, 3 minutes. You don't have sound. I could put the sound on my phone. If you want to look at it, you can choose to look at it later. I don't know. I would leave it up to you. Do you want to decide what do you want to do with that?
Hard to see, I'm sorry, you guys.
We can move if we want to watch it.
Yeah,
Do you guys
I'd
wanna
like to watch
Okay,
it.
let's
So-
watch it.
so-
Okay.
Okay, so it's not gonna be the best sound ever, but I'm gonna put my phone and I can explain whatever it's not clear.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll move on first. I have water.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll use this chair to put the sound. So it's closer to you.
Oh, the microphone. Nice.
Good job.
And we're not normally in this room, so this is why we're kind
Okay,
of piecing
so
it together.
should we?
So tell me, you say 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3. It's yeah.
Perfect.
This project was created for the Richmond mini grant applications. We wanted to work in Richmond in the first place because it's a community that is in need of more public art. Working of social justice through the arts is a very powerful combination. There's a historical need to discuss issues of discrimination, and stereotypes is a big opportunity to talk about all kinds of discrimination. We were to visit schools and community centers where we could have a conversation about stereotypes. So the first part of the discussion was always what stereotypes were, and later what stereotypes the community identified to be promoted by the society mainstream. So you could see that the community of Richmond is already under several stereotypes and that are related to the place being a dangerous community. It is a reflection of how society says that people of color are dangerous. Talking about stereotypes, it is important because stereotypes are dangerous, because in the first place, put people's lives at risk. And in other more subtle ways, it really stops and prevents people from being who they are. He designed the mural in the base of those community conversations. We talked about how we could tell a counter-narrative of those stereotypes in order to create a new story. The murals are a continuous learning process. The dialogue continues as we painted the mural. And then after that, when the mural is there, it still opens up a space for reflection. We have seen how some of the community members have wondered about the characters we have in the mural. Somehow it's a continuous teaching process, and it points out at the stereotypes that we have been taught. And the divisions that in our communities exist, and the high need for Black and brown unity and other communities of color that need to come together and stop discriminating each other.
So this was done specifically for the community of Richmond and the videos that we talk about. But if we think about stereotypes in Albany, one of them is that Albany is not really diverse, for example. Right? There's a lot of, there's the idea that Albany doesn't have a lot of diversity, which is a stereotype since it does, right? We think of the University Village, right? It has all the students, and we do have a diversity in our communities that are not only related to race and ethnicity, but also to gender issues and gender inequality. So we do work themes that are related to social justice, but I wanted to point to the postcard, and I will explain through the poster how some of this came. Because a lot of times when there's work related to hard and complicated issues, sometimes the product really, it's a reproduction of that. So the main idea of our project is to do a counter narrative, which means that we tell a different story. So when we had the sessions, a lot of people commented, for example, that African American fathers were really absent of the childhood of their kids. So what we did is we painted an African American dad with their kid in a very tender position. So it really just said, it didn't say, oh, people think that. It said, no, black fathers are part of their childhood of their kids, right? And that's just an example of how the stereotypes were created. One was related to Latinos just being all from the same group, were Mexican. And the woman in the dress is really using a dress that is used. We made the dress more of a Latin American theme that they have it in Panama, in Colombia, in a lot of other places. So it's kind of changing the thought into a new explanation, pretty much, in a new truth, right, in a new story. So that's a little bit, I wanted to point that out to you because I know that you had some questions on the design. These were just a couple of the stereotypes that appear in the community conversations, but there were, if we had to do one for all of them, there were many. There were really many, so we would have to at least do 3 or 4 murals. But so it is really there's a possibility of selecting the theme, something that could be the most positive and the most kind of present. Some of the stereotypes that we chose were the ones that were repeated the most. So in a different community, those would be different themes, and we would have a lot of choices to say, okay, there's a possibility to do a design based on this ones or this one. So we wouldn't mind that you had to approve of a design that we did. So that's the first thing. It really, the good thing about it is that it's fluid in the sense that it changes according to a particular community that we do it in. The second thing, and this it's a little bit more complicated, is that you ask us about the wall. So we had a conversation with the people in the Ivy Room. They wanted a mural, and they are 2 business partners. So they contacted the landlord, and the landlord did not reply to them. So that really discouraged them. But we look for another possibility, and we do have letters from both of them. So I'll give you the letters, and there's a picture, and the picture is really bad because the printing was really bad. But we have this possibility, but we are also open where the community sees the need. Like if we read that there were a couple of sites like the park or some other that might be public walls, that if there's a suggestion that, okay, this would be a good place for it, the community here needs some art, then we would be open to that too. So there's a lot of flexibility on that, on both subjects. And the one we do have secure, and we do have letters from those two owners. I will pass you, pásale la carta. My secretary here will give you each a package. Son 3 páginas por cada uno. No, están hechos. Deberían estar hechos. Sí, están hechos. Se supone que están hechos.
Amen.
Están hechos, ¿viste?
This is the wall you were talking about around the Ivy Room. That was the wall on the Himalayan restaurant facing the Bevmo. The
Yeah,
facing-
that one.
okay.
Yeah, that one. Was that the Himalayan restaurant? No, that's
The
the.
Himalayan restaurant, yeah. Angang?
It was in the wall of the Ivy Room?
No, the
No,
Ivy
it's-
Room doesn't have an exterior
the
wall
restaurant.
that faces,
But it's the restaurant.
it's the restaurant next to the Ivy Room.
Oh. Then I guess I was confused about it. So we talked to them, and they had manifested their interest on the mural,
Oh, I'm sure,
And then-
I'm sure the Ivy Room people would let it.
but they turned down the option they told me this on Saturday afternoon because they hadn't been able to contact the landlord, so they assumed that the landlord wasn't interested
Got it.
in the project. So I don't know, it would be the same landlord, right?
Yes, it would be, it's the same building.
So so we make this choice, and what we decided that even if our budget is shorter than that, if you see the photo, see where the pet shop is,
Yeah.
the pet hospital,
Yeah.
there's a wall in the front, and then there's Dana Mayer's.
Yeah,
So we talked to both of them to kind of make a continuation mural,
Yeah.
to do a double, right?
yeah.
That it would be more attractive also for that area. But we are still open to any wall changes if you suggest one or think another area of Albany is more kind of in need for public art. So that's what we wanted to say about that.
Next question. Can you tell us more about the process you would follow for engaging the community in the conversations and how you would reach out to any groups, if there's any groups you've already talked to?
So we have some contact with the students in the Albany Middle School that he had worked with them in the past. So what we did with the project in Richmond, this is how I did it there. I contacted different programs like after-school programs and schools and community centers, and they were open to me coming in and having the conversation. And I do have experience on that kind of theme. I'm a doctor in urban ed, so I have worked with themes of ethnicity and race and inequality and social justice and in many different scenarios. So I think that kind of helps because it's not a theme that can just be pop up, right? So what I did is I contacted them and they accepted, and we discussed. First, we discussed what stereotypes were and what they meant and what stereotypes they identified. And then we said, okay, so then how could we transform those to tell this counter-narrative? And then they gave ideas, and I wrote down everything they said. And after that, it was kind of a data analysis kind of process where I looked at all the stereotypes that there were, and I then talked to Christian, and we decided, okay, these are the ones that were more prominent, and these are the ones that I think that could be well represented, and then he designed the mural in terms of that. So that was the process.
Great.
Let me add something. And also, when we are painting the mural, we do like 2 times like community painting,
Oh, yeah.
where the people is welcome to start painting with us. You know, there's some places in the mural where we leave open for different people to get there and painting with the community.
So some of the people you saw in the video were from NIAD Art Center, which works with people with disabilities. And so they were welcome to paint, and I even presented a workshop with them, and we talked, and they talked about some stereotypes about disability, and had interesting things to say about it, and then they were really happy about coming and painting. So that was the process. It takes a couple of steps, but we see it as a necessary time, because it is different when you design a mural and you say, we're going to put this in a community, right? But also from, there are complicated times, and it's kind of important to make a statement about community unity and coming together, and also about kind of, I can think of the word in English, but celebrating who we are together. So we think that having that process makes it a little bit more deep of a project than just a mural only that we decide on, right? It's more democratic also.
Yeah.
Yes.
Two questions. About how long does it take, and what process do you use to make sure that all the people you want to participate hear about it and come?
So, well, diffusion is one thing. It's sometimes hard. I mean, you obviously want more people than you might get, and that's kind of common with all kind of participation projects, right? Like even sessions like this one. So what we did last time is we look for diversity in terms of the groups. For example, we did middle school, we did high school, and then we had a community center. And I think if I think about it now, I would have gone to maybe to church or to other community centers that are in the community. So I think having done the project once kind of gives me and gives both of us, because I do the part, right, where we do most of the meetings, and then Christian does most of the mural. So it is it gives me the perspective to think of other possibilities. So I guess reaching out to a more diverse kind of group of community, and also here you have the opportunity to have it's also smaller. So in that way, you kind of have access to more people. If we think, okay, let's have a conversation even in the community center or something, people are open to coming. I also have contacts with the people at the UC Village because I have worked with them before.
And then about how long a process do you think it is?
So finding the people and just meeting with them, it took a couple of tries, and then the people that approved, it was a couple of hours, maybe 1 hour in each place, so it was around 8 places. I guess it depends on the places that approve our visits, but the whole project that we did, I would say we started visiting schools like in KM, maybe in February, and the mural was totally finished in June.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
The mural itself just took 2 weeks and a half because he worked full time on it. And he had a mural assistant, so that helps.
Can you tell me more about the glass component of the piece?
Yeah, it is. We haven't had like a mural that we can show you of that, but I don't know if maybe we didn't send enough pictures of the samples. So it's like mosaic, but it's a little bit more spread. So it's the shapes of glass, let's say birds that are made in a mold, and then they are put in the mural, kind of as part of the scenery, but they are 3-dimensional. So it's pretty much like a mosaic, but the shapes are already made. So they're generally this big. They're not super big, so they're little. So there are little like additions to the whole background, or what the kid, like let's say the characters can have. Some flowers.
And you've done
birds.
murals with this technique before?
We have not done murals with this technique before. It would be kind of a new thing, but we have done, we have implemented, since he has a lot of experience in the working in mosaics and the construction, it's just kind of applying to the mural pieces of glass that I have done. We did one. We did a.
It's very similar with the mosaic technique, but this one, the media is going to be different. It's going to be glass, not tile.
We did one for La Peña a couple of years ago. That's right. We
And it's going to be
incorporated.
raised from the surface and have some.
But it's light. It's not it's a slight, I should have brought I didn't think of that, I'm
Like a
sorry.
tile, like the thickness of a tile.
Yeah, but is there like a I wish I had one here, I'm sorry about that, but like a little bird, like I've made, let's say, many little birds, and they have the shape of the bird, a little bit two-dimensional, but they are flat and they're rounded by the process of the kiln, so it's not that they're pointy or unsafe or anything. Yeah. We did one for La Peña, now that I remember. It was several years ago.
Does anyone have any more questions before we discuss this?
I had a question about this site. This is what.
Oh, that's
Google
great.
Maps. So are you just talking about this one wall or wrapping around the
Wrapping
building?
around.
So the one wall and then the one in the back to make like if you look like kitty
Oh, in the
corner.
back. You mean behind it?
To do
We are
both.
really open to paint like this wall. and
Oh, that one
also
there. Oh, I
Both.
see.
That one in the corner.
I mean, this one here.
Yeah, we have the sign from Dana Meyer and the
The-
Prairie Hospital too.
Oh, okay.
So it would like if you look kitty corner, you would see even a three-dimensionality in the mural from one wall to the other, and this was, we didn't think about two walls, but we don't mind extending like our hours to do that in the same budget though.
Well, this one wouldn't be very visible from the street though, right?
Yeah, that's right, Yeah. Well, that corner is pretty visible, but the most visible wall in this is gonna
Was
be
on
that one.
yeah.
That one right
Would you also do the front of the pet hospital, the front wall?
I'm not sure if you talk about that.
But she's open because she's going to paint after we're done. She's gonna paint the rest of the place, so she's kind of open.
Well, are you happy with this site compared to the one you had before? The one you had before in horizontal, was it a bit larger?
It was taller.
It's
And taller, right?
Yeah.
It's a taller one.
Well, we are pretty happy with the other wall before,
Yeah.
because there's a big parking lot,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
it's more visible from Sao Paulo.
Yeah.
It's a good spot.
We are a little bit disappointed about that.
Well, did you feel like you have to give up, or it's just the fact that nobody actually was able to contact the landlord, and so?
I did suggest to the person in the Ivy room and about said, well, if you support our project, it will be fine because maybe we can all, like last time, I know that we got some walls no, we didn't, but you offer that one person that work here, I can't remember his name. Do you remember his name? Said that if there was a wall that he wanted to paint when he painted all those murals in the Greenway, that he could maybe try to convince some landlords to give their walls when they had like tags and that it would be better.
I guess I'd say if you haven't actually talked to them, then you don't really know what their objection is, if they even have
To
an
the
objection.
landlord, no, but I don't have their contact. So that is, and I think it was kind of we talked to, so it was kind of complicated because there were two business partners and I don't know how well connected they are. So they wrote us that they wanted to participate, and then the second person a couple months later told me on Saturday that she was trying to reach the landlord, but he didn't reply, for which then he probably
But
didn't care.
like people were saying, it's not the Ivy Room, it's that restaurant next to the
Yeah, I
Ivy
don't know
Room.
why. Then I don't know why.
Unless the Ivy Room rented that whole space and is
So-
subleasing it to the restaurant.
But they are the longest tenant of that building, the Ivy Room is,
Yeah, but
by like $1 million.
in any case, it's neither one of those people, it's
It's
the.
true, it's the
it's
owner.
It would be
owner,
the
so-
owner. We would be happy to contact. I just when she said that he hadn't responded, I thought, okay, well then maybe I don't have a way to contact. But
You should try it.
I think it's
we
a better space.
yeah. Well,
Let's know that that's possibly on the table in this
Okay.
discussion.
the thing is that we are open to finding that wall or another wall that it serves the community better.
Right.
We still have these people signature, and they're happy to let us do it there, which
Great.
is something better than nothing, right?
Yeah.
And in the idea of doing like a two walls, it is interesting too. That just to do, just one that extends. I think it would make that area a little bit attractive because it's kind of the end, and a lot of things don't happen. But now with the new, there's a couple of new shops there, this beer garden or something. You know, the area could kind of be lifted up a little for business. So in that way, we thought it could be good. So
Yeah, you might be right about that.
Yeah, I think you're right. Thank you.
Yeah, you can sit down and we'll talk now, I guess.
so thank you so much for having us. We appreciate it.
Glad you could make it.
So we have a proposal on the table through the Community Grants Project. This is the first time we've done this. This is the only application for this go-around. The request is for 10,000, and I think our maximum is, that's under our maximum. We have it.
Yes.
We
Well,
have
we-
that to allocate if we want to.
Yes.
And I think it said the project should be under 10, so it doesn't kick in that.
Right, it's
Right.
fine how it is. So
Right.
the process, as I understand it from this point, is that we would be asked to make a recommendation to approve or not approve any project this year, or approve this project to move forward. And that would go to city council, is that correct?
Yes, once we have all of the information and the location and everything, it would have to be approved by city council.
So we can vote on this tonight, and we can formally, we do have a quorum, we could formally decide to approve that this is our recommendation and move forward with that. We could put it on the agenda, I guess, for next month and put it off by a month if we felt like we needed more information. Or we could decide we don't want to do this project. I think that's pretty much what our options are tonight. Does that sound correct, Eva?
Well, to approve it, do we need a location, or are we
Could we
approving
approve
in
it with the
concept?
location on, could we approve it with either location? Do you know what I'm saying? Could we say we approve it whether it's on the side of the Angam Restaurant Building? or
I
on
would,
the center?
I would say that when this, having gone to those meetings, and Peter has as well, when this, if and when this goes to city council, they will want to know exactly where this is happening and how it's happening and what's happening. And
Right.
so at that point, those details would need to be known, for them to approve it, I
What's the
think.
timeline between this, our approval and the city council?
Well, Eva would know what the docket for the city council is looking like.
Your question is, when can we get it on the city council agenda? It's usually, it depends on when the deadline is, but I'd say 2 to 4 weeks in advance that it would get it on the agenda. So we're looking at October if it was approved tonight.
But as you said, we can't send it to the council without
No, definitely not, yeah. I
location.
mean, you can make a motion to approve it pending the, you can either put it off to October, or you can make a motion to approve it pending location, once that's been decided and you get the documentation that
Okay,
that
so
site is okay.
let's hear what the four of us who are here tonight think of this. I mean, what I want to comment about this is I really like this proposal. I had a student at the high school when the very well-publicized Instagram racist incidents happened, which I think probably everybody is aware of. There's been a lot of awareness that has grown out of that. I don't know, are you guys aware of that? Do you know that there was, yeah, so there's been a lot of awareness that's grown out of that. There's a lot of groups that are working really hard. There's an African-American parents group, there's a Latinx parents group. There's Speak Up Albany, Stand Up Albany, which are student-driven, 2 different student-driven efforts, I think. So there's a lot of, I know within the school community, people I think would be really interested in being involved in a project like this and would be really willing to engage in these kind of conversations. It seems really timely to me. I like the work samples. I like the work that you've been doing in Albany, and I think it's great that you've been here, contributing to our community, and I would be happy to work with you all on this project. I'm a little concerned about the location. The 2 concerns being, I think before we can approve this public money to be spent on private property, we do have to get the city attorney to tell us
I have something.
that would work. You have something from?
I have something, yes,
Okay.
I apologize that you guys are turning backwards, but I did pull from the master plan, let's see if it pulls up here, from the community projects RFP, and also what the city attorney did send. The nuts and bolts of it is that didn't work. Here it is, kind of. It is timing out. Let's go ahead and close this. We'll just
Well,
do
the
it this
upshot
way.
of it was the city attorney said that it is okay, that it actually fulfills the intent of the Albany
Okay.
Public
Great.
Art Fund, and didn't raise any objections to it.
That's
Right.
great.
And to add to that, people aren't super comfortable with it, and I don't know, that's not working, but yes, exactly
What are
what Peter
people- I'm
said.
sorry, what are people not super comfortable with?
On private
Private
property,
property thing.
on private
But it's
property.
legal.
According to the city attorney, he's given the thumbs up, so, yeah.
Has to be visible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can't see it, so why don't I just read what he said, because for some reason it's not
You got
popping
it.
up here, but yeah, I apologize, I don't know why it's not working, but, so the question was, is this a permitted use of public art fees? And his answer is, the ordinance is fairly flexible as to the use of fee revenues and even discusses placement of art on private property, so that's not a problem. The second question is, would this expenditure violate the prohibition of gifts on public funds in the California Constitution? And he answers, to avoid a gift of public funds, the city has to either receive some consideration in return for the expenditure or identify a public purpose it serves. Here, it seems we have both. The city is receiving the right to use private property to display public art, and if the art is placed in an area which is visible to the general public, then it furthers the public purpose of the public art program, basically to make the community more attractive and visibly interesting. So those are,
Covered.
yeah.
The
so
one
we
question
felt-
I had about that was on a mural that's painted directly on the building, it then becomes part of the building and can't be separated from the building. Is that a concern of the cities?
Only in the sense that if you look at the provisions, that does become the owner's property to maintain. So for the life of that project. So whether it's the Burt Beasley or a mural, it's the property owner's responsibility.
And I think that would be the reason why, while that wall is cool on the restaurant, you would not want a property owner who was being
Right.
talked into this, because I think you really kind of need that person to be down with maintaining that thing over the life of it, having you all back to maintain it if it needs to be maintained. You would not want somebody who keeps it for a little while and then says, oh, well, now I've decided to paint over it or whatever. So I think we want to definitely make sure that if we're dealing with a private property owner. One question I had is, have you ever done a mural like this that was not painted directly on the wall? I've seen murals, there's one in the building I used to work in that was painted on panels and installed on the building. Did you think about that kind of approach, or?
Yeah, but that is, the cost is gonna be more higher.
Mm.
And also, when you paint a panels on the, outside of, outside, they are mostly the time they are heat for the weather, for the sun or for the rain. And it's gonna be really tough to, preserve.
It's better if it's painted straight on the wall.
Yeah, when you paint directly to the wall, of course it's gonna be better.
I guess I should rephrase that to ask, if the city council was particularly concerned about this type of project and didn't want to spend public money on something that was literally part of the building, could this project be done in that type of way if it had to be?
Yes,
Okay.
because that could be located inside or something.
I mean, understanding, like you're saying, Christian, it would need to be rebudgeted and blah, 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 but it could be if it had to be.
For outside, he worked, I don't know if you know La Peña Cultural Center?
Mm-hmm.
So he worked in the third phase of that, and that's been done every 20 years.
Yeah.
It was very complicated, the panels were growing with the water or whatever.
Mm.
And we have done other couple of them, but some inside, so the outside, maintenance of that is a little harder, but it can be done, but then there's a lot of preparation for the wood, right? So it's.
It wouldn't be the best way to do it.
Yeah, it's not preferable, but if it had to be like it, that it would be in a place inside. Well, I guess es solo el material que has to something.
Yeah, it's like the surface where you wanna work is really hard to prepare. You can make a good preparation, but anyways, you need to touch it up in 5 years or something. The mural when it's there in the corner, we did, and it's never touched for a graffiti guy. So nothing happened because it's on the stucco. It's directly to the wall, and you don't need to do nothing with it.
Yeah, yeah, no, I understand. I'm just thinking ahead to the kind of questions we may get asked if we approve the project. Okay, comments from other people, what do you guys think about the project?
I think this is a great project. I think you're the right people to do it. I wish that you had gotten the parking lot because it's such a high visibility thing. And I also think the other one really could work and could be the pet hospital, because it's such a bleak part of San Pablo. It's not a very colorful part right there, that to have two in a row that speak to each other, that could be very cool. I think that might be really, really neat. I'd be really supportive of this project.
I think it's a wonderful project, really good for the city.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's positions us very well, and I think it's great that it's in that part of the city too, which is often neglected by such, such things. I noticed that you were saying that you commit to 3 years of maintenance, is that right? And I think those details probably have to be worked out with the city. This checks all the boxes as far as satisfying all the requirements of the community project, right, coming in and
That was one I noticed as well. I'm glad you brought it up, is that it is the responsibility of the property owner. So
property.
after 3 years,
Yeah.
what happens? The city is not responsible for maintaining it, and I don't have the exact verbiage, but something of if the owner doesn't keep it up, that it's considered a nuisance and can be painted over.
Would the property owner have to enter into a contract not only with, say, the artist, you know, in terms of liabilities and things like that, but also with the city to guarantee maintenance and,
Well, the city doesn't do any maintenance on the
No, I think
artwork.
they'd have to agree, they'd have to formally agree that they
There would be a
be
contract.
responsible for it,
Yes,
right?
yes, and like we've done with the loop, there's a contract that yeah. And with the loop too, they sent, or any art project, we would send postcards to, I think it's a 500-foot radius to anyone in the area. I believe community projects, I think it would have to be on display here at the community center.
How many of these administrative details need to be sorted out before say the council gives approval? Can the council give approval and then they notice the community, or is it the other way around?
I don't know.
Yes,
I
I
would-
think that, I believe that
remember
we
how it
had
worked?
approved the projects before the community was noticed. The project can't start until the community has been noticed for a certain amount of time, and
Right,
so, you know, nothing can happen on the site, but I don't think it has anything to do with the council acting, unless the council doesn't want to act until they know something from the
Until they
community.
get feedback from
Right.
the
They could
community.
approve it whenever they want to. They're approving the monies and the, you know, and the project.
And the
moving forward,
design.
Essentially.
right, but they are gonna, I mean, they're gonna ask if, do you remember how that worked? I remember it all in the community center, it was before my time, but how it worked with, what, did it go to council, and then we had 60 days displayed here in the community center, and then, or was it
I
flipped?
think that's correct.
So council approved it first with the,
The council approved it based on the original design prepared by the artist. And one thing that might be an interesting twist in this, and I don't know how we work this procedurally, but I kind of heard you saying, and can you tell me how to pronounce your first name? Jimena. That you would all be open to talking about the design once you actually know what it is you're gonna paint, which I think would be very reassuring to the council if they knew there was going to be some type of opportunity to review that. I don't see any way we could give them a design before they have to approve it, because we can't, you know, allocate the money without the city council approving it, but
they could ask to see the final design.
yeah, if they
but-
know there's a process where we would definitely see the final design and they could see it upon request, or
Right.
it would be here for people to look at for some period of time before you start painting it, or whatever works for them. As I say, this is the first time we've done this, and then this is a kind of a complex but really interesting project for this first time around. I think there is a way to make that process work, where they can approve it and then things can still happen after they
Right.
approve.
How did that work in Richmond? Did you have to come up with a design and then get it approved officially, or
No, we didn't have to get a, after they give the.
they approved the idea, yeah? They trusted you, in other words, to do it.
They did. But we understand that it is is scary, you know, it can be scary, so since also there's a lot of possibility, I mean, really, the list of conversations were really long, so there's so many possibilities that we have, right, choices in which, we can kind of decide and see, okay, this one would be a little better for, you know, we're pretty flexible, so, and we understand that it's scary, so we are willing to make them feel comfortable with, as
Okay.
much as possible, right? Not too comfortable. With whatever. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that during the budget, there's anti-graffiti,
Yeah.
which this was not have, by the way. And those are, nobody has done it. And they've been several years already. Some of them has been, how many years?
Yes.
At least four, at least 4 years.
I mean, that's actually, research has showed that with public art, that the
Yeah.
murals are much less likely to be tagged than empty walls. There's always a sense, there's a misconception, people think the opposite is true, that it's more likely to be tagged, but it's less likely to be tagged.
Right.
So that gives us a good present.
But
Does.
I need to say something. You're talking about the guarantee about this. I can say we live in Albany, and if something happened with the mural, like or get vandalized, or the people or the owner need to do something with the mural, we are pretty open to keep like leave the mural like alive. You know, if everything happen, I can put my money back, you know, and do something in the mural. You know, it's gonna be like, I don't know, I can say, oh, I can give you a guarantee for like 10 days if I'm still living in Albany. You know?
Right, right.
Yeah, I don't think we're too concerned about your commitment to the project. It's just, as Eva was saying, there would have to be some agreement between the owner and the city about that the owner understands that if they agree to the project going forward, they do become responsible for the maintenance of it. And that's awesome if they have an agreement with you that you're gonna help them take care of it. I'm sure that would be reassuring to them, but ultimately, they're the ones who are gonna have to say that they will take care of it.
Yeah, they would have to, you would have to negotiate with the owner after, yeah.
Cheryl?
I'm very excited about it, and I think we should, go ahead. I feel
agree.
we should approve it and get moving.
I have a question about, because you guys are very flexible, which is wonderful, but you did mention that you're open to other suggestions, so I did want to throw that out to you guys. I know there's a master plan with other possible mural sites, and I know.
I wanted to ask about that too.
Yeah, that if you guys have other ideas, kind of, I know a few have been mentioned in other meetings that we would throw out there and see if there are options
Well,
to
there's
investigate.
just lots of
There's lots.
blank walls. and,
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, I always thought of the Santa Fe Solano
Right,
Yes.
with gathering tribes and that huge wall right on what used to be the Supercut building.
Yeah.
Those are very prominent.
But we never managed to get very far with it.
Well, I did talk to
owners of that
Renee
building,
once. She's the owner of that building, and she was, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but was that when she had to pay for it, or was that when,
No, it was just,
just the whole concept?
it's easier to say no than to enter into the
My question is
unknown.
if there are any public sites
I
that
have a
you're aware of,
question.
if
I
there are
have a
any
public
public
site.
walls.
Mhm.
Yeah, I have a public site that I've been keeping my eye on for a while, which is, you know the path, the bike path that runs along the BART tracks? We're about to install some wavy water signs over where Cordonistas Creek is, close to Gilman Street, between Gilman Street and Dartmouth Street, and where there's a little bridge and it has two quails. And that bridge is always tagged. That bridge is a mess. And the city of Berkeley doesn't want to own it, and the city of Albany doesn't. Nobody seems to want to take care of it. Nobody wants to kind of own responsibility for the bridge, and it's truly a public site. It has no private ownership thing, and I think that would be a place where I would really like to see something. It doesn't even have to be a mural, but something that makes that bridge look great, because we're about to do a project there. And it would be nice to tie it into the project of natural environment, honoring the Native Americans who've been here. I don't know, you know, but that's a public space. It's not a private space. And half of it is in Berkeley and half of it is in Albany.
The master plan also identifies, I don't know how many, but several public sites that would be, you know, remember that whole
Yep.
grid
Yes.
That would be great for murals as well, and it's not, the computer's not working, so I can't pull it up, but that would be,
I just want to say quickly that if there's a site that has an environment like that, also our background could kind of
Go into the environment.
a little
I
bit,
agree,
like if
totally.
you took glass fishes, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
they totally blend
Mm.
into- that'd be really nice.
I think it'd be really cool,
Mhm.
be very cool.
But I don't think that's the project we're talking about now.
No, but that's one we were talking about doing other things, and if it's a public space, not a privately owned space.
That's for the next year.
Yeah,
Right,
that's,
there you
I
go.
really was gonna call you after the meeting and say,
Okay, so it seems like everybody here likes the project and wants to
Yeah,
move forward.
for
We
sure.
would have to have a vote on that, but I'm wondering if we want to approve the project on this site or approve the project funds and have another conversation about the site. I do think, like Peter and I were both, I do think we have to know where it's gonna be before we take it to the city council. They are gonna wanna know,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
for sure.
they wanna know.
I mean,
And-
I don't know if this would work for this, but we could make two motions. One is to approve the project, right? It's in, it fills all the criteria. And then they could come back at another meeting and we could move forward with, okay, we've contacted this owner, here's the 3 sites, and then they
Yeah, it might be
choose a
easier
site.
to get the owners to okay if they know that the Arts Committee has basically vetted the project and approved everyone.
Right.
Mm-hmm. That makes it all a little more credible.
Yeah, that's what I'm aiming for, is that if we
Let's
could
do that.
approve the project to move forward, but we could have an intermediary step here where we could work with you on a final proposal that we would then recommend to this, to the city council for them to approve it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Someone want to try to
I
put
wanna
that into
move.
motion form?
I wanna move that we approve the project with an unspecified site, but we approve that these are the people we want to do the project, this particular mural project. And that would be one motion.
So what is it
Second,
saying?
so, is
So
that
you might need
seem
to
right?
put a number on that.
Right.
Like a number of what?
And we would be approving a grant of
Okay,
$10,000 to fund this project.
Thank you,
Mhm.
Something like that.
something like that.
But you
Yeah.
have to say it.
Okay, okay. I move that we approve a grant of $10,000 to fund this project.
Second.
Perfect.
In
And
favor?
aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion carries, so we've approved this grant to fund this project. And then we need another motion or just a recommendation, Eva?
Final
I think-
motion.
Yeah, I think that
we need
covers
another
everything.
motion. What I would say then is, what I think we should do is have you all back ideally next month, if you can make our meeting date next month. If you all have more conversation with the owners and now, I think this was kind of a last minute change for you all too, so if maybe you get a better idea of, maybe this is the perfect space for this, and you wanna come to us and say, here's why this is really a great space. I think it would be, we can look at the master plan, and Eva can forward this information to the other committee's members by email, yes? So that when we come back to the meeting, if we do know other sites, since you're open to that, maybe we have another great site that someone on the committee is like, I found the perfect space for this, and it's great because, for these reasons.
Yeah, so I can, two ideas. One is the master plan is online in the Arts Committee page, so I encourage you guys to look through that. It's lengthy, but you can see the specified spots that have been earmarked for murals, so that'll give you a better idea. And then I was gonna ask if somebody on the committee wanted to be kind of the liaison to, we don't have to wait till the October 8th meeting to then say, oh, these are our ideas. We can, there can be some work in between the next meeting to say, to email them and say, here's the sites that have been, identified by the committee.
I can do that.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
great.
And maybe Jeff Bond, or maybe not Jeff Bond, but someone at the city could help identify the owner. I think talking to the business inside the building may be kind of a waste of time, in the sense that
Well, it's not a
Just
waste of time,
renters.
it's not a waste of time in the sense that the more people, the more involved in the area
Right,
support the
that's true.
project, that, having those people tell the city council or write a letter that they think that's great that their business is gonna have this mural on the side of it is actually a good thing, but of course, the owner is critical. Yeah, we just, I think, wanna work with you to create a proposal so that when we take it to the city council there, the questions we imagine they'll have in advance, we know the answers to them, and hopefully then they'll be really excited too.
And the city can help, like you said, find the owners too. So if you're stuck anywhere, I think we can give you phone numbers or email addresses too. So.
I have your email.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
if maybe I could look and then maybe ask, if we look at the master plan, look at all the sites, and then we can ask, okay, who are these, if you know them, if
Mhm,
not, where
mhm.
could we find out?
Mhm.
If you tell us where to find out, we could also go and look, search for them and find them.
You know the city development office?
It's in the.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. John, what's John's last name?
Elrich, but I can help with
Okay,
that.
you
I
can
think
help
it'll go
us, yeah.
faster
Yeah, they
if
have
I.
all the deeds are there.
Okay, great, then we could definitely be persuasive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And if we say that we have your support, then I think that will be easier.
yeah.
And if there's any problems, I mean, I'm sure at least we have the site, so there's something,
Yeah,
Mhm.
and then if not, if there's a better one.
great.
And I think
Yeah.
what would also be great is if people can send me site recommendations that I can pass along, and also, if you have recommendations for groups, especially kind of organized groups of citizens and
Mhm.
community members that could be
Mhm.
part of the discussion process, then we can pass those along to you as well, because I think there's a lot of, as I said, groups that are really engaged in this exact issue right now and would be excited to be part of this.
Perfect, that would be great.
Terrific.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for your patience. Sorry for the delay in getting
No,
started.
thank you for having us and taking all our info and listening to us.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
We are sure it will be great. So,
Yeah,
Thank you so
I
much.
am
Thank
too.
you.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
take care.
You too.
Okay, so 6.3, which is now 6.2, is the Albany Community Center Foyer Gallery. We will review the applications for the Community Center Gallery. Let's review them.
Let's review them.
Okay, let's do
Just
it.
a little bit of information first. There are, one is a quilt exhibit.
Uh-huh.
So I have not gotten in hold of whoever this person is.
I'm sorry, say that
Quilt,
again?
Exactly my
it's a
question.
quilt exhibit.
Oh, the quilt, yeah.
It's the quilt one, which I found I was intrigued by. That having been said, if we're really interested in doing that, I will talk to the artist, because there has to be a way to protect the pieces up on the wall. And if we can't come up with a solution for that, then it's
And
just.
they're really big, right?
They're big. That having been said, there are ways to do this.
There's a lot of quilt exhibitions.
Yeah, but most quilt exhibitions are in galleries that have guards.
Right.
And
Oh.
we are an open space and we do not have a guard. So
We haven't
that is-
budgeted for a card.
No, I doubt we could afford that, frankly. So I would need to talk to whoever this person is and see what they're willing to do and how they're willing to approach it. I kind of was very intrigued by it, or I would have said no to begin with.
Yeah.
So, and I also thought the quilts were very interesting.
It's pretty high on my initial thoughts of the ones that I like the best, and I guess one question I have is, should we approve an alternate? If that exhibit is approved, then we probably should approve an
We need to
alternate.
approve an alternate.
And my
This-
other question was the ceramics one. Do
Oh, no.
those look fine to you?
No, those, I actually emailed him. Basically, those, ceramics.
Not
ones.
the big metal prints, but the ceramic pieces there, the no fear pieces.
I
don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
I frankly, I wasn't,
I mean, well,
Yeah.
my question is more, is there, you don't know, it's possible it could be hung.
it's
You're not sure.
possible it could be hung,
Okay.
I'm not really sure.
And the
I wasn't-
large metal prints, that's probably fine, because those probably are rigid and could be wired to hang. Those are digital prints on metal, those ones in the middle left, kind of. They're big too, right? They're like 4 feet tall or something.
There's also, at the very end there is a set of work, a lot of, some of which is carved fishes. I told him we would not be able to do those, but he said he had plenty other of his pictures.
Okay.
So that's So that's all the.
That one wasn't in your packet,
Okay.
so that one's, yeah.
remember
I
calling
didn't see
it
the
a
fish,
fish. I
yeah.
It was a misunderstanding between Eva and I
Okay.
as to how that was
So
going
Eva,
to
how do you
proceed.
want us to?
Yeah,
to
so I
proceed?
have scorecards, and you're going to choose your top 5, and there's 11, so choose your top 5, and your first choice will have 5 points, your second choice will have
You're
4,
weighted.
third, yeah. So I think these are obvious.
This is very intense that there are only 4 of us to
I
do this.
know, a lot of
It is
pressure,
real.
it is what it
A lot of
is.
pressure. Have
gotta
some more
move
honey
forward.
cake if it helps relieve
Like,
Yeah, some more
with anxiety.
anxiety. That's what it's there for.
Mhm.
Okay, let's go.
My name Peter G, the way I did when I was first grade.
Were there a lot of Peters in your class?
There was one where I had another Peter. Peter G.
My son, whose name is Sam, had 4 Peters in one of his own. 4 Sams in one of his own.
Mm.
Yes.
Nobody names their kid Peter.
No, no.
Peter's a great name.
It's self-loathing, it's really got nothing
It's
to do
got
with
nothing to
the
do with a name.
And these are big as well, aren't they?
These are-
Those are really large also. These are the
Right,
pictures
those
are
are
small,
big,
and
right.
these are big. Thank you, you're a little taller than me.
These are ceramic, right?
No.
Those
No,
are
these are the
like
ceramic ones,
20.
the wooden
The
ones.
ceramic ones are over there.
I thought there was a second bunch of ceramic.
Yeah, these are 40 feet, 40 inches.
These are not ceramic tiles?
Yeah, these are the ones that are all digital prints on metal, but I assume they just.
Which is the usual?
These are digital prints on metal.
Metal.
We got 7 digital prints, which is great.
Yeah, I kind of love those, don't you?
I was intrigued by it.
Yeah.
I thought they were more interesting just because of the process. These are.
This is.
There are 36 of these.
Yeah, they're based on the
36 views of Mount Tangy. Oh, right? Nice.
And they're prints, actually.
Yeah.
Yes, I know it's supposed to.
Well, these are the ones that work in the tank.
Those are the ones that are printed.
And what are these? They're-
These are big, right?
Those are 36 by 36.
Yeah,
They're
they're not
pretty big.
big, but they're good size.
They're really good
Carving.
size. She was, her work was in that show
And what are these?
at the Abrams Gallery.
Kirsten, yeah, I know Kirsten.
They're drawings?
Yeah.
They're not
It's
prints?
interesting, she actually applied for this and she's gotten.
Yeah, I really like her work. I like it a lot. She's got a great sense of color. And some of it is sort of three-dimensional, I mean, some of them are sort of built up.
Mixed media, yeah,
Yeah,
that one was mixed
exactly.
media, and I think.
Yeah.
I love these two. That's why we had the conversation, because I really loved this.
What, the quilt? Yeah, yeah. Does anybody know how big these are?
They're big.
They're big? Okay, cool. I love the Flintstone one, and I like that it's hard. I just feel like they're sort of a different demographic than we usually see in the.
Well, that is true.
And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and they have a very commercial art look to them, which
Yeah.
kind of grabs me, but then like, I really don't like this piece at all. Do you get to say which one?
No, you don't.
You don't
Sure. Like to have a little power. Alt tally yours, tally ho here.
Jenny? Yes, babe. We still have not gotten the from the money. I'll call her back, see what's going on. Yeah, of course I will. We might tell her that. Yeah. Pieces that we sold.
Oh, until she
likes them.
got it.
This is not gonna happen again to us.
This is not a binding vote, right? This is
No,
just
it's
a
never happened to us.
Oh, okay. I thought you said it happened again.
way of separating the wheat from the chaff.
I don't know, I guess we'll find out.
Got it. I'm having
How
a hard
much,
time kind of connecting with what this person's work is all
I
about.
don't think I'm gonna agree with any of them.
Because the
Oh,
interest
really?
is so small.
Well, that's good. That's good that you're here then.
Yeah, I've had my vote wasted.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
we figure that our
How many applications do you normally get?
I think there's quite a few.
It feels like quite
Yeah.
a few, doesn't
Five
it?
is the
That's
top
good.
choice, right?
5 top choice, yeah.
Five top choice, for a minute I was very confused.
Quite a good selection.
But she's gonna
Absolutely.
score them with points, and then,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
then
Peter,
it'll be like trivia night, there'll be a question, and whoever answers it gets there.
Yeah, you got it.
the cards
That's how-
were
Match
terrific.
the artist to the name. That's my challenge.
Is this the show where they're gonna feed us mochi?
She is gonna feed you mochi, but she's not gonna be making mochi. That was the deal. She
As long
will
as I
feed
get
us
to
some
eat it.
mochi, but she's not going to be making mochi.
Oh,
So
I
there
have
you go.
some of these cards already.
Yes, you probably
I'm due
do,
too.
Peter.
I'm gonna be here 'cause Susan's
There are
gonna ride it.
mochi.
But you're not gonna be
I'm
here.
not gonna be here either.
Okay.
These are extras. Ethan, so-
Okay, I'll take those back.
This is gonna be
Jenny
so
is
skewed
Oh,
to
Jenny's
the
gonna
early
do it.
part of us.
I know.
Yeah, and there could be a tie, we'll see.
Oh, Jenny, maybe you didn't get
She
any of
didn't
those
get any
cards.
cards.
You need to.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, let me have this.
Have some cards.
There's also,
Yeah, I'm on duty.
She's on duty, yes, and just so everybody knows, I will be out of town. This is the first time since I've been on this committee that I will miss an opening. So,
Dun, dun, dun,
dun, dun, dun.
Loud.
And Jenny, bless her heart, is going to step in and take over.
Nice.
All hell will break loose. Check it out.
party.
It'll be just fine. The cards look great, Peter.
Yeah, they do.
Offer some
Thank you.
good scotch instead of that cheap white.
Yeah, that's how we get them.
I remember these, I like
Yes. I think it should be a really interesting show. She's
I
an
do too.
interesting woman,
She's really nice, and she's a professional hanger.
which is so great.
Hey,
So,
Jenny,
Yeah, babe.
when I'm telling these, can you script what your motion actually was? I have like 2 different versions.
Would you like me to write it out? Or look at
Approve a grant of $10,000 to fund the project with unspecified sites.
That's specified. Yeah.
So if you could
Yeah.
just jot it down,
Do you want me to write it out in a little way?
Say with like with a site still to be determined.
Yeah.
sites.
Specified site
Right.
sounds weird.
and I
Right.
have a favor to ask of everybody, if you would. I'm getting really frustrated with that stop sign in front of the
It's terrible.
$300,000
Yeah.
sculpture
Yeah.
that we have. So if you would all write to the city council, all of your council members and the council chair, and tell them how displeased we are. I've already told Peggy how displeased I am many times, so now I'm getting the big guns out. So if everybody would please just write to,
Is that the city thing, or did Belmont Village?
oh
say
no,
that?
it's the
that's a
city.
city.
It's the city.
It's a city, and maintenance is supposed to take it down, and they have promised they are going to, but they're taking their sweet time about it, and
Okay.
I'm getting pissed off.
Okay. So, maybe, will you be my Vanna, Karen? So the top 2 vote getters were Julia James. Which one is she? And Betsy Kendall.
Okay.
So this one. And then the next one was Aura Clay.
It's the quilts.
Quilts, okay. Okay. And then Lisa Levine. Lisa
Stuff with metal
Levine.
prints.
No, it's
Oh, the small,
It's the
oh,
photos.
the mural,
photos.
yeah, those ones.
Those, no,
No, next to it, that one.
One.
okay.
And then Kristen Peroth.
Which one is?
So you're
Chris?
right, next to the thingies. So did the collection get on?
Yes.
That one.
Great.
Okay.
Did you
So
have that too?
with your
I don't either.
permission, thank you, Jenny.
Yeah, thank you. See if that seems right to you.
What's that? So those were well above Mitchell Linden
Mhm.
and Jeff Cohen were the other two.
Oh, I like the Jeff
I'm sorry,
Cohen's.
wait, yeah.
Were those the
Mitchell
abstracts?
Linden
Yeah.
and Jeff Cohen. So should we, when we respond to them, or I don't know, maybe this is a Cheryl, you do this, you say, should we, when we tell people, I'm sorry, the people who didn't make the cut, should we tell those two people, try again next year? That, sorry, you didn't get selected, but, you know, it was a close, or we had a lot of applicants, please feel free to, okay,
Absolutely.
okay. Okay,
Okay.
so.
Because Kirsten's is the alternate one, Kirsten Para?
Yes.
Because we approved
Wait.
4, but
We
the
approved-
5th would only come into play if the quilts can't be displayed.
Oh, thank you.
That's right.
Yes, those were the top 5. So Kristen Peroth, yes, was
They
the
were all
5th.
separate, those were in order, right? There were no
Those were
ties.
ordered. There was a tie for first, and then there was second, or third and fourth, yeah.
Okay, so.
So just to
I
review,
will-
did you get all of those?
Yes, I
Okay.
have them all. I will talk to Aura
Okay,
soon, and then we'll go from there.
okay.
The quilter, those 5 might actually take up the entire gallery, right? They're that large. Does she have other designs?
No, no, I will talk to her. and
Because
find out
I didn't, I love the idea of having a quilt show, but I didn't like all the quilts.
Yeah, I didn't.
I don't
choose
necessarily
the-
have to like them, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was just wondering if they had other selections.
I will find out.
We only have 3 walls that would work, right? Is that right?
I don't remember, 3 or 4.
Cheryl will figure it out. And so
Cheryl will
you'll
figure
let, will
Yeah.
you, well then Kirsten will be, what do you do with an alternate? Do you tell her she's the alternate, or no, you just wait and see what
We
happens?
wait and see what happens.
Okay.
Okay. And remind me of the process. So you will contact all the top 4,
I will contact the top 4 and the others.
work out dates,
Hmm?
and you work out the dates and everything too.
Dates and all of that kind of thing. As far as Kristen Pearl goes,
Wait.
we'll wait on her.
Okay.
Everybody else's work should
Then we say,
send them their
and send
things
it all back. Everyone we send it back though, right?
No, I keep
You
the
keep-
ones that we are
Okay,
showing.
so you'll take those
Who were the
today.
2
Okay.
alternates? Was it Levine and Perot?
Only one alternate.
Only
One
is-
alternate,
Kristen
Perot.
Peroth was,
Peroth.
yeah.
Okay.
And then there were 2 that will say,
It's definitely the Mount Tam, the metal prints, and the landscape paintings.
Right.
And then it will be the quilts if they can be displayed, and if the quilts can't be displayed, it will be the painting and mixed media.
okay. Now, on the agenda, it does say make a motion to
Can we make a motion? on
approve these selected artists.
this? Okay,
So-
I move that these 5 artists are,
Do we do 5?
but we have 5. We
Okay,
have
so
4.
approve 5.
We have
Right.
4 with an alternate in case we cannot do the quilts.
So what is your motion?
The motion is that we pass these 4 artists for our shows coming up this year, starting in January.
Okay.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there a second?
Oh, I thought you said I seconded. Sorry.
No.
I seconded.
All
Okay,
in-
all in favor?
Aye.
She's
That
getting
carries.
confused.
I know, I'm so
Getting
confused.
Okay, that
confused
motion will carry.
indeed.
Okay.
Okay,
Great.
we are moving on to 6-4 Sculpture Loan Program. Members Goodman and Holland will provide an update on the 3 selected Albany Greenway sculpture locations.
And I'm sorry that the photos we're not going to be able to
Oh,
bring
I'm
up.
so glad. I'm so
Yeah,
relieved.
So
We did
you'll
take
just have
photos.
to
Peter and I met.
visualize.
We met, we went on a walk, we both brought tape measures, which we didn't actually need. So if you don't, I have photos on my phone and I can pass them around. We think we found some nice spots, actually.
Great.
We do think, we really like the spot, we didn't even have to go and look at it, we both agreed right away. We really like the spot that's already a circle, is it 25, what's it, when is it, the line across, is that the diameter? It's a 25-foot
Yeah.
diameter circle at the corner of Dartmouth Street and the BART tracks.
Yep.
And we thought that that pillar,
Ooh.
that round pillar could be right in the middle of that. We already picked the things we want. Then as you move north on the Greenway, the next site will be at the corner of Masonic and Solano, and it's a rise to the right of the BART tracks heading to east. And so right now it's a tiny little garden called the Albany Rotary Club Garden, and it had, or what do they call it, the Grove, the Albany Rotary Grove, and has some young trees there. And we like the pillars, what did she call them, the artist who had the smaller steely type pillars. We thought that would mimic the trees really, really nicely and sort of fit in. You could see them from multiple locations. Moving north, and if you continue north past Solano Avenue and you get to the corner, is it Portland Street? Is that what? Portland?
Washington.
Yeah.
Sorry, Washington and Masonic. As you look north, there's a beautiful grassy hill, slight hillock on the left-hand side. And I think that was our original site. I don't think we should do anything with that, because you can't really access it in any way. Plus, there's some trees that need to come out. But if you look to the right, there's a fairly neglected area. And it would be really beautiful to put those, remember the concrete pieces that fit together?
Yes.
To put them there and to create.
Where is this again?
This is at Washington.
And it's a long area, right?
It's a pretty
Yeah.
long
It's
area,
long.
and it's real accessible and real visible.
Right next to the pedestrian. the bike
Yes,
path.
by the pedestrian thing, and also you can see, it's like, it's the corner, so you can see it in a lot of different ways. And we both thought that that would be a really nice location for those pieces. Now, my only questions about it, is questions that we have, was we thought that, I forgot to bring my packet with everybody's specs on it. I think some people wanted their pieces to be bolted down to a concrete pad. But then Eva, you said, no, we're not using concrete pads, so I'm a little confused about that. And I don't even know if we're supposed to even talk about concrete pads at this meeting. We just wanted you to know that we like those sites for those pieces.
Mhm.
You remind me, Eva, did we have 3 applications? Is that?
We had exactly 3 applications, yeah.
Those
and
3 pieces, I remember those 3 pieces, but I
Yeah.
couldn't remember if there were any.
There aren't-
That's
yeah, it was just 3. And as far as installation, we talked about diving into that a little bit later, but my recollection from chatting with all of the artists is that they were really creative and that they've all been installed with and without pads.
Okay,
So
great.
I think in your next step, when you chat with them, that's when you can kind of determine, like, okay, here's the site, what's the best way
Should
to
we bring them
install
to the
it? But
site? Should we see
think
if they
so.
want to do
Mhm.
that?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
we
mean,
can do that.
don't
I
you
can
think
speak
the
to
artist
Michael.
should see, I mean, not only from
Right.
an aesthetic point of view, but
Yeah.
also, yeah, will
From an
their,
installation point of view.
yeah.
Yeah, will it work?
Mhm.
So then
Will it work and how will it
we'll
work?
entertain a motion to approve these selected locations for those sculpture pieces
That's
and
right, yeah.
to charge this subcommittee to reach out to the artists about installation.
Great.
Someone want to move that?
Oh, can you say it again?
We're entertaining a motion to approve the subcommittee's selection of sites for the 3 sculpture loan proposals and to reach out to the artists about installation questions.
Second?
Well, you have to move it.
Oh, I move it.
You can just say so
Oh,
moved.
I'm so moved. Sorry. I thought you were.
seconded.
There you
In
go.
favor?
Sorry.
Aye. Opposed?
Oh, we're getting a little
Who-
smart.
Wait, who said it and who seconded it?
I said it.
Black,
I
okay.
seconded.
And then Holland, okay.
We're taking turns.
Okay.
I wonder why they keep
That
track of
motion
it.
is approved. Good job, subcommittee. Work on.
Yeah.
Item 6.5, fall into haiku. Peter,
Yeah,
give us
so
an update.
we're right in the middle of the Fall into Haiku program. Deadline for submissions is October 1st. Last time I looked, we had, I think, around 35 to 40, but they were not 35 to
46.
40 different people. They were, so some people turned in more than one. So I sent out a reminder on Nextdoor today, and we'll continue to do that until October 1st. On October 1st, we're going to have a party that Becca Black is organizing with a lot of kids, and we'll get some more submissions then.
Would that be at the library?
Where's
Rooms
the
1 and 2.
Oh, okay.
So over on our side.
The activity rooms
Great.
back there. So, except for it being a couple weeks earlier than last year, it's pretty much the same one. So we're just moving ahead.
So are you happy with the amount of submissions? Or-
Well, you never know. I mean, most of these things, people wait until the last minute.
So true.
And then people mean to, and then they forget, they don't get around to it. So it's a little hard. You know, if we don't get enough, I guess we'll work with the ones we have, or there are other ways of doing it. But Becca's going out of town, so we kind of have to get it done by October 1st and then get our judging in so that we can move ahead. The idea is to get them out on the street by middle of November.
Great,
So that's where we're at.
thank you.
Excellent. 6.6 Albany Film Fest, that's Peter again.
That's me again. Well, I don't have too much to add because I've missed the last two planning meetings. They started to hold them in the middle of the day, so it's hard for me to get to them. But we are getting submissions. It's, to be honest, folks, I don't have anything new to add from what it was last time I talked to you. Nothing.
No surprises, anyway.
Yeah, no surprises, nothing that would require the committee to do anything. I know we're getting funding coming in.
Oh, nice.
That's great.
Hopefully, next October, I'll have more useful information.
Then item 6.7 would be the Creek art, but since the artists are not here, I would suggest we table that discussion.
I would just, to throw it out there, I'm not sure this is an artist that has been very hard to communicate with, so I don't hold a lot of hope that he would come to the October meeting. He said he would be here tonight. Hopefully there's a,
Well, I guess my question about that is that there was a note on the agenda item, I think, to say something about additional funds needed. But I think if the artist wants additional funds,
Show up.
the artist
It
needs
is
to
fun
come to
here.
the meeting.
Yeah,
I'm
Noted.
not inclined to bring a vote on additional funding without the artist here.
exactly.
yep.
Why is he
Noted.
not showing up?
I don't know. He said he would be here, so,
And
and
he
he
knew it was
knew,
here.
and he knew it was here.
Communicate to the artist that, you know,
Gotta
it's
show.
fine if staff wants to update us on the progress of the project without the artist here, that's fine, but
Right.
we're not gonna vote on any additional funding without the artist here.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Future agenda items, can you either reach out to Christian and Jimena and just confirm that they can come in October to continue talking with us about the project and the site, so that we get a proposal together for city council? And are you guys willing to be back on the agenda to keep talking about the sculpture loan stuff, if you've been
Oh,
able
yeah.
to talk to anybody?
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
have more to say about that, about Film Fest and Fall into Haiku again.
And I'd like to add a presentation by a community member of the Blue Bear School of Music, School of Rock, the East Bay. They're starting this week, and he's really working it hard. They're making connections in the community. These are a lot of people who now live in Albany. He'd like to come and just talk and tell everybody what he's doing.
Okay, I would throw this out there,
Yeah.
that we have 3 more months to complete everything on our work
Right,
plan.
did you know that?
So I'm not sure that October would be the best month. I
Right.
know it's timely because they're
Yeah,
just
they're
starting
starting.
out.
Yeah.
Does it make sense to push that back till,
Well, this is what I would like to have him come. I'll tell you why. I've already pushed him back twice. And I said if you could keep it to 3 to 5 minutes and just make a presentation, don't need anything from us, that would be, because I told him we're really busy.
Okay,
So I
Does
would
that
like that
feel
to
okay?
happen.
okay.
I'm trying to help him. I like this organization a lot, and I think it would be really good for Albany. And I think I'd like to support the building of this.
And it's Blue
Bear School of Rock.
Bear
Blue Bear, like a
Bear.
blue bear.
School of Rock.
Literally, everyone I know has taught for Blue Bear
Been in San
at some
Francisco
point.
for a long time.
Yeah, and they've done amazing. They have he's a huge moneymaker.
Was there a million years ago.
It's crazy. He's got,
Really?
yeah, he's getting hundreds of thousands of dollars already to build out a site here in Albany. I mean,
Okay.
Who's giving him hundreds of
he's got people all over the Bay Area who want their kids to learn rock and roll.
So we
This is
will
not
have
a,
that on the
this is
agenda,
not like
and
a
are there any
nonprofit.
other,
This is a for-profit.
any other future agenda items?
Cheryl, the
What is
foyer, I'm
nonprofit?
assuming, will have an update. So I have sculpture loan, haiku, the Blue Bear School of Rock presentation, community projects, the film fest, and the foyer.
And Christian and Jimena, yeah? Community projects,
That's
yeah.
community
Yeah, yeah,
projects,
yeah.
yeah.
Great.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Got it.
Well, and you can find out if the river guy is coming or not.
Right,
Yeah.
Creek guy.
And we can tell
Frank.
you beforehand whether we actually got in touch with any of the artists. who were
Okay,
able to.
our next meeting is
Okay.
Monday the 8th, back in City
Yep.
Hall Council Chambers, and do we have a motion to adjourn?
A motion to adjourn?